Hello guys, welcome to 6-7, your daily political update. This is me Sanjay Bhargav. Let's get started. Today we turn to Manipur, where Bishnupur district has been grappled by violence following a tragic incident that shocked the entire state. Violence in Manipur's Bishnupur district has escalated since April 7, 2026, after a bomb blast killed two children. Protest clashes with security forces and mob attacks have left dozens injured, vehicles torched, and internet suspended in several districts. The situation remains tense with prohibitory orders in place. Let me explain what happened in the Bishnupur. On April 7, 2026, a blast in Tronglobai village killed two children and injured their mother. This triggered widespread anger and grief. On April 14, 2026, violence erupted in Tinungai after a drug seizure operation. Protesters blocked roads, torched vehicles, and clashed with security forces. 18 civilians were injured. On April 15, 2026, fresh clashes broke out in Bishnupur and Ningthongkhong. Security forces used tear gas to disperse crowds protesting the blast. April 17, 2026, thousands defied prohibitory orders in Imphal demanding arrest of those behind the blast. 21 civilians were injured, 5 detained, and vehicles set on fire. Let's discuss the key developments in the Bishnupur. Casualties: at least 2 children killed, 2 protesters shot dead, and over 40 injured across multiple incidents. Security responses: tear gas, arrests, and deployment of forces to control the mobs. Internet suspension: the government suspended internet in 5 valley districts such as Imphal East, Imphal West, and Thobal, Kaching, Bishnupur for 3 days to prevent misinformation. Public anger: protest fueled by grief, mistrust of authorities, and rumors about armed groups moving in the area. What are the risks and challenges involved in this case? Rumors and fake news. Social media videos falsely claimed attacks on army headquarters and governor's house, worsening tensions. Community trust deficit. Locals accuse authorities of slow action against perpetrators. Law and order fragility. Repeated flare-ups show deep-rooted instability in Bishnupur. Manipur's Bishnupur stands at a crossroads of grief and anger. As families mourn and communities demand justice, the challenge ahead is restoring peace without further bloodshed. Let's come to the next news of the day. In Haryana, 5 Congress MLAs have been suspended for cross-voting in Rajya Sabha elections. Let's break down how cross-voting works, what the constitution says, and whether MLAs really have the freedom to vote as they wish. Haryana Congress has suspended 5 MLAs for cross-voting in the March 16th Rajya Sabha elections. This raises important questions about the legal and constitutional framework, how cross-voting is possible, what the 10th schedule says about defection, and whether legislators truly have the freedom to vote their choice. Let's understand what is cross-voting. Cross-voting means an MLA votes against the official party line or whip in an election. In the Rajya Sabha elections, MLAs vote to elect members of the upper house. Or party issue a whip directing their MLAs to vote for the party's candidate. If an MLA votes for another candidate, it is called denying the whip or cross-voting. Let's understand the constitutional and legal framework governing this issue. First, 10th Schedule Anti-Defection Law. It was added by the 52nd Amendment 1985. Disqualification grounds under the 10th Schedule are: if an MLA votes or abstains contrary to the party's whip without prior permission, they can be disqualified. Applies to Rajya Sabha elections because voting is a part of legislative functioning. The Speaker of the Assembly decides on the disqualification petitions. Second, freedom versus party discipline. Individual freedom. Technically, MLAs can vote as they wish, but the 10th schedule restricts this freedom to maintain party discipline and prevent instability. Result is that an MLA who cross-votes risks suspension from the party and disqualification from the assembly. Third, suspension versus disqualification. Suspension is a party internal disciplinary action, thus like Congress suspending 5 MLAs. Disqualification, a constitutional process under the 10th schedule decided by the Speaker. In Haryana's case, suspension is immediate, but disqualification depends on petitions filed before the Speaker. Key takeaways from this incident are: cross-voting is legally possible but comes with consequences. 10th schedule 10th schedule limits freedom of MLAs to vote independently in order to preserve party stability. Suspension is political punishment while disqualification is constitutional punishment. This highlights the tension between individual conscience and the party discipline in India's parliamentary democracy. Cross voting in Haryana shows the clash between personal choice and party discipline. The 10th schedule ensures stability, but it also raises questions about whether legislators are truly free to vote their conscience. Let's come to the next news of the day. Rajya Sabha Deputy Chairman Harivansh has been re-elected unopposed, but the biggest debate is about the Lok Sabha. Why has the Deputy Speaker's chair been empty for over 7 years? Rajya Sabha Deputy Chairman Harivansh has been elected unopposed for a third term, but Congress leader Jairam Ramesh raised a constitutional concern, that is, the Lok Sabha has not had a deputy speaker for more than 7 years. The situation highlights gaps in India's parliamentary practice and raises questions about reforms. Let's understand the constitutional framework governing this issue. Article 93 of the Constitution it mandates that the Lok Sabha shall choose a speaker and a deputy speaker. No time limit is specified for electing the deputy speaker. The tradition is historically the deputy speaker is chosen from the opposition to ensure balance. This strengthens parliamentary democracy by giving the opposition a formal role in presiding over the House. The current situation is, since 2019, the Lok Sabha not elected a deputy speaker. The ruling party has not moved the motion, and because there is no constitutional penalty, the post remains vacant. Why this can happen? Legal loophole is that the constitution requires the post but does not enforce a timeline. Political strategy. The ruling party may prefer not to give the opposition a presiding role. Opposition objection is that leaders like Jairam Ramesh argue this undermines the democratic spirit and weakens checks and balances. Key takeaways from this issue are: constitutionally the deputy speaker is mandatory, but politically it has been ignored. The vacancy reflects the tension between constitutional norms and political convenience. Opposition sees this as a weakening of parliamentary traditions. Key suggestions for policy reform: fix a time limit. Amend the rules to require election of the deputy speaker within 30 days of the speaker's election. Codify opposition role. Establish a convention or a rule that the deputy speaker must come from the opposition, ensuring balance of power. Third, judicial oversight. Also allow courts to intervene if the post remains vacant beyond a reasonable period. Fourth, parliamentary resolution. Pass a resolution mandating that both the presiding officers be elected at the start of each Lok Sabha. Fifth, transparency. Require the government to explain in Parliament why the post is vacant if it was not filled within a set time frame. The re-election of Harivansh shows how smoothly institutions can function when rules are followed, but the Lok Sabha's 7 years vacancy for deputy speaker exposes a constitutional gap. Reforming this process is vital to strengthen India's democracy. Let's get to the next news. Meghalaya has taken a historic step by declaring Khasi and Garo as the official state languages. Let's break down what it means to be a state language, how the 8th schedule works, and what is India's official language framework look like. Meghalaya has officially recognized Khasi and Garo as the state languages alongside English through the Meghalaya Official Language Ordinance 2026. This decision highlights the difference between a state official language and an 8th schedule language under the constitution and raises broader questions about the India's official language framework. Let's understand the criteria for the state official language. Article 345 of the Constitution states that a state legislature can adopt any language spoken in the state as its official language. Flexibility is allowed. States can choose one or more languages. Examples: Meghalaya now has English, Khasi, and Garo as official state languages. Let's understand the criteria for the 8th schedule language. Schedule Article 344 and Article 351 list the languages recognized at the national level. Currently 22 languages such as including Hindi, Bengali, Telugu, Urdu, etc. The criteria is not formally codified but generally based on widespread use across regions, historical use across regions, demand from states and communities. The benefit is inclusion gives a language national recognition, eligibility for UPSC exams, and promotion under Article 351. Let's understand the constitutional and legal framework governing this issue. Official Languages Act 1963 governs the use of Hindi and English for union purposes. Article 343. Hindi is the official language of the Union. English continues for official purposes. Article 345 of the Constitution states that the state decides their own official languages. Article 346 and Article 347 deal with the communication between state and recognition of languages spoken by a substantial population. Let's understand the official languages of the Government of India. Union official languages such as Hindi and English. 8th schedule languages, 22 recognized languages. Latest addition was Bodo, Dogri, Maithili, Santali in 2003 via 92nd Amendment. Recent state level additions are Khasi and Garo in the Meghalaya in 2026 April. Key takeaways from these developments are states' official languages chosen by the state legislatures under Article 345. 8th schedule language recognized nationally with cultural and administrative benefits. India's union official languages are Hindi and English. Recent developments is Meghalaya's move strengthens indigenous identity and may push for Khasi and Garo inclusion in the 8th schedule. Key suggestions for a policy reform. First, clear criteria for 8th schedule inclusion. Define measurable benchmarks such as population size, literature, education, etc. Education use, etc. Second one, periodic review. Every 10 years, Parliament should review demands for new languages. Third, balanced representation. Ensure smaller languages are not overshadowed by dominant ones. Fourth, digital and administrative integration. Promote new official languages in e-governance, exams, and education. Fifth, language preservation funds. Allocate resources for documentation and promotion of indigenous languages. Meghalaya's recognition of Khasi and Garo shows how states can strengthen local identity through language. But the bigger question remains, how should India balance states' choices with national recognition under the 8th schedule? Let's come to the next news of the day. We bring you a powerful Supreme Court judgment that restores hope for the lakhs of Bengal voters. The Supreme Court has ruled that voters in the West Bengal whose names were wrongly deleted from the rolls can vote if their appeals are cleared by the tribunals before April 21 for the first phase on April 23 or April 27 for the second phase on April 29. This is a major relief for lakhs of citizens who were excluded during the special intensive revision of voters list. Let's see what Supreme Court has said. Judgment date is April 16, 2026. Bench was led by Chief Justice Surya Kant and Justice Joymalia Bagchi. Key directive, they said that the Election Commission must publish a supplementary revised electoral roll including names of voters whose appeals are accepted by tribunals, and the cutoff dates are appeals cleared by the April 21 eligible to vote in phase 1 which is conducted on April 23, appeals cleared by the April 27 which is eligible to vote on April 20, in phase 2 which is conducted on April 29. Important clarification is only voters whose appeals are decided in the favor can vote. Pending appeals do not give voting rights. Let's understand why it matters. Background is, during the special intensive revision of electoral rolls since November 2025, over 27 lakh voters were excluded due to alleged logical discrepancies. Impact is that many genuine voters feared losing their democratic right. Relief is that the Supreme Court used its extraordinary powers under Article 142 of the Constitution to protect voting rights. These are the key takeaways from this judgment. This judgment is about justice for Bengal voters who were unfairly struck off the rolls. It shows the Supreme Court's role in safeguarding democracy and ensuring no eligible citizens is denied the right to vote. The Election Commission now has the responsibility to act quickly and publish updated rules before pending. This judgment is not just about Bengal, it's a reminder that the right to vote is at the heart of the democracy. Let's come to the next news. Today we explore how India's rural development model is not just transforming villages at home but also shaping global diplomacy. India's National Rural Livelihood Mission is no longer just a domestic poverty program. It has become a global model of development diplomacy, inspiring countries in Africa and the global south to adopt India's rural strategies of self-help groups, women empowerment, and the financial inclusion. Let's understand what is National Rural Livelihood Mission. It was launched in 2011 by the Ministry of Rural Development. Its aim is to reduce multidimensional poverty by promoting self-employment, skill development, and financial inclusion. The core idea is to organize rural households into self-help groups, especially women-led, to access credit, training, and livelihood opportunities. Let's discuss the key achievements of the National Rural Livelihood Mission in India. 100 plus million rural households mobilized into self-help groups. 20 million women members earning over rupees 1 lakh annually. 50 million women accessed bank credit, boosting female labor force participation rate. Women banking correspondent present in over 60% of the local governments. We discuss the how National Rural Livelihood Mission became a model of development diplomacy. India's share in institutional frameworks such as self-help groups, microfinance, skill training with other developing nations. Africa India shares its institutional frameworks such as self-help groups, microfinance, skill training with other developing nations. African governments are adopting National Rural Livelihood Mission inspired models to empower rural women and strengthen grassroots governance. This is the South-South cooperation. Instead of just giving aid, India exports knowledge and community-based systems. Let's discuss why it matters. It acts as a diplomatic tool. Rural development becomes a way for India to build partnerships in the global south. Women empowerment, central to India's global image as a leader in the inclusive growth. Financial inclusion helps countries replicate India's success in bringing local populations into banking systems. Soft power. India's credibility grows as it shares successful social sector innovations. Indian villages are now shaping the world's development story. Leaving you on that note, thank you for watching.